Well, I'm no longer allowed to grocery shop in my family. This has been coming for a long time because Andy says that I get too much weird stuff. I come back with all these cheeses and dips and just too much. So now he does online ordering. He does the online ordering. And then like last week I'd started to go back to the grocery store, but every time I came home, I had a watermelon. And so he cut that off and I've been cut off again from the grocery store. But he does.
Watermelon? Does he not like watermelon?
Well, I don't think he likes one a day.
Oh.
Like one full watermelon a day. He thinks that's over the top. And he and Olivia have like now labeled watermelon as outside fruit. And so we don't need to be cutting up big watermelon. Just, sometimes I'll leave it out or not put it all away or it'll drain onto the countertop. I see where they're coming from, but
how do you pick the right watermelon?
Funny you should ask. I've really been researching that lately.
Okay.
And I can tell you, number one, it's the thumping always, that when you thump it, you should be able to hear a hollow. Okay. And it shouldn't sound like it should sound hollow. Okay. The second thing, and I thought Lauren Grossman told me this, and I thought that's a good hint. It should be heavier than it looks. Like when you pick it up, it should be heavier.
Oh, it means it's juicy.
It's juicy. There's more juice. The third one, which I've started to use, is on the bottom, the yellow, where the fruit was sitting in the ground. When you look at that, you should be able to see no stripes. There should be no stripes. It should be straight yellow, completely worn through. Now that one I've been following and it's pretty legit.
Wow. So just as you were figuring out the way to pick the perfect melon, Andy's like, no more melons. Yeah, just as you were honing your craft, to understand the best melon, he's like, get it.
I don't think I have good boundaries in my life when it comes to watermelon. Like I could continue to eat it.
Why do you need a boundary for watermelon? Like it's fruit.
Well, I thought so too. I actually thought it was just 20 calories a cup.
Oh, is it bad for you?
Well, no, it's more than that. It's like 60 calories a cup.
But it's good fruit. It's good sugar.
I know, but once you've had 8 cups, it's a lot. And
well, we've talked a lot about watermelon. I don't think that's
really not our whole show's purpose.
That's not what we came for. So do you actually want to start the show?
Let's start the show.
Hello, and welcome to the Almost Amazing podcast from the CityRise Network. Hosted by Jennifer Dennis and produced by me, Justin Kello, we're a podcast that was supposed to be focused on parenting, but we've kind of lost the plot along the way. Honestly, we don't know what this podcast is about, but we talk to incredible people who love Jesus, and our hope is to provide encouragement and fun whenever possible. If our lack of clear direction bothers you, we apologize, but no one is making you listen to this podcast, unless you're married to Jennifer. Andy, thanks for listening.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to the Almost Amazing podcast. Thank you for joining us today. We've got lots to talk about, so let's just dive right in. Justin.
Hello.
It's hot. Have we already had the discussion about how hot it is?
I don't know. We do love to talk about the weather. And it's hard not to talk about this weather.
Let me say why it's particularly hot today is our air conditioning is not working.
At your house?
It's starting to let us know it's on the fritz.
Oh no.
And I don't know how you go home eventually.
Just sleep at the church, I guess.
I know, right? But it's hot to the point where people are telling each other, don't go outside, stay indoors. And here's the kicker. It is July. Mm-hmm. It's July. We aren't usually ready for this heat until August, don't you think?
Oh no, June was like the hottest June on record.
Hottest June on record. Here we are in July, and we do not cool down around here until
October.
Yeah. I will say this. It hit me yesterday that we are now closer to Christmas than we are away from it.
Well, there you go. That's a great way to look at it.
That put me in such a good mood. I'm like, we're headed towards Christmas
again. Well, normally I'll do
a
Christmas in July theme for day camp. But
we did. We didn't
do
it this year. We dropped Christmas in July. I know it's kind of a bunner.
It's kind of a bummer.
But how are you guys spending these nice toasty days?
Well, we do have the pool membership to the community pool, which we do love.
I bet that thing's got enough stamps in it.
Yeah, we take advantage of it. We get our money's worth. We buy the annual pass, and we're there a lot. It's okay. 2 things about the pool. 1. Once again.
Are you still going without your shirt at the pool?
Yes, it's hot. I'm not throwing the shirt on. But once again, I had somebody come up to me who I had never met before and say they were a listener of the show. Wow.
I like how all of the listeners walk up to you when you have no shirt on.
This is the thing. I love hearing from these people. I
Of course
love
you do. I
meeting
do
people
too.
in our church that I don't know that says, I only know you because of the
Nobody's
show.
telling me that at a
Listen,
pool, though.
yes, I love it. I love it. And so I don't want anyone to ever not approach me. It's just baffling to me that it only happens at the pool.
I know.
Why is this not happening at church?
I think it's because at church you look really busy. You're always taking pictures.
Yeah.
You're always going from place to place.
Yeah.
You're training people.
But so I was talking to my kid. I was saying something. And someone was like, Justin. I was like, what? She's like, oh, she said, I didn't know if it was you, but then I heard you say something to your son, and I knew. And that's Justin. She's like, hi, said her name. She's like, I listen to the show. I go to Westview. And I was like, great. She's like, actually, I'm here with my older kids, and they're kind of like taking care of themselves. So I've got like 3 episodes I got to catch up on. I'm going to listen to your show right now.
Oh, that's so
I was like,
sweet.
I was like, great. I'm so glad that you're doing that. Let's just enjoy it.
Meanwhile,
It's just, like I said, it is the extreme end of emotions. It is so exciting that someone is saying, I appreciate what you do. I love your show. I'm listening to it right now. And also here I am without a shirt on with someone I don't know that knows me. So it's a mixed bag. But the other thing about the pool, we have a man in our community that Kristen and myself literally see everywhere we go. Everywhere we go.
Oh.
We're even on his...
Do you think he's maybe a guardian angel?
I don't know, but we call him Every Dad because he's everywhere. And he is literally anytime we're at the pool, he's at the pool. And so at first I was like, this is weird. And sometimes like there's even random things. I'll come outside at the exact moment he's jogging by. Like it's not just the pool. Like I see, when we take kids to school, I'm always like, I see this guy everywhere. And so I've got 2 questions. One, do you think he thinks the same thing about me? Like, do you think he's like,
is he older than you?
I mean, he's a few years older than me, but like, do you think he's clocking my existence the way I'm clocking his existence? Like, there is a man I see everywhere I go that I don't know. Do you think he is also seeing me and thinking, man, I see that guy everywhere I go?
I think if this guy's going to the pool all the time and he's running in the neighborhood, you're not the only one he sees all the time.
Okay. Then
that would be my guess.
Then my second question is, should I approach this man and introduce myself? Do you say, listen, I see you everywhere. I just want to introduce myself.
I would wait until autumn when it cools down a little.
Or until I'm wearing a shirt again.
Unless you're... Nobody wants to have that conversation 105-degree heat.
That's fair.
I mean, I can probably name 4 things I'm willing to do out in that heat.
Yeah.
And 3 of them involve saving someone's life.
Am I obligated as a Christian to introduce myself? Is that what God's telling me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But until we're both.
But just like it says in the Bible, in his time.
In his time is autumn.
I don't know. It's weird to know when to introduce yourself and how to bring up the conversation.
Yeah.
Hey, we see you everywhere we go.
Yeah. Well, are you stalking me? Like, why would it just feels weird? I don't know what to do. So for now, I'm going to do nothing and just continue to say, hey, that guy exists. I see him everywhere. But those are my 2 pool situations.
He's a part of my matrix.
Yes. What about you, Jennifer? What is up in your life?
What is up in my life is that, let's see, I am just, we're finishing up our 4 weeks of Super Summer Stuff camp, and I cannot say enough great things about how well ACB and our Kidstuff team has done really with these camps. Like the kids have had a blast. So it's really fun to me. Like I got to go to the pool with them this week and hang out in the pool. Tomorrow we're going to go on a field trip together. I'm excited about that. I love to just get to hang with the kids when I get some time. Yep. And so they've had a really good time, and I love being with them.
My daughter has been a part of it. She loves it. She is so funny. She loves the field trips, especially because when you go on the field trips, it's places like Main Event or, a roller skating rink or whatever, and y'all feed them there. Like that's the exciting thing is on the field trip, you get the food there, and she doesn't really care about the food. What she cares about, weirdly, is Diet Pepsi. Like I don't know where she got a taste for Diet Pepsi. We are not Diet Pepsi people. We're Coke Zero and Dr. Pepper Zero family. But she is always pumped about Diet Pepsi on these trips. And so her favorite part.
I don't even know when we're feeding that to them.
Well, you can get a soda. It's a soda fountain. Like at Main Event or whatever. It's like
these unlimited.
They get to choose their drink.
Do you know where it is?
No.
It's the water park.
Really?
They have.
Okay.
Because she's burning up.
Yeah.
And then they have endless supply of these.
Which is fine. I've got no problem with it. But with us, she doesn't drink soda because she's our problem.
It's Diet Pepsi.
She's your problem. If you want to hop her up on caffeine for the 4 hours you have her, I'm fine with that. Like we don't do
Right.
that. And so it's just funny that the thing she looks forward to the most is the Diet Pepsi on these field
That's
trips.
funny.
She loves
That's
it.
really fun.
All that to say, all the work and planning you do in the other activities, she also enjoys, but the Diet Pepsi is the...
But they would be a little bit more popular if we would add Diet Pepsi, which I will
Yeah.
never do. Diet Pepsi.
I don't get it. I don't know where she got it from.
And I really have a hard time with you guys being Coke Zero people. I mean,
You are a Diet... I mean, you are a
It's
Diet
classic.
Coke person. Like, I
Classic.
understand that. I was never attached to Diet Coke.
followed up by Diet Dr. Pepper.
So when Coke Zero came out, we were all in. And then when Dr. Pepper Zero came out, it changed my life. Like,
Right. I think
I don't drink Coke Zero anymore if Dr. Pepper Zero is around. Like, it is incredible.
you don't just do Diet Dr. Pepper.
It's a different flavor. Like that. Like the argument
okay.
is, I prefer the flavor of. It tastes more like actual Dr. Pepper, and so I like actual Dr. Pepper. So Dr. Pepper Zero tastes more like actual Dr. Pepper, and
It's true. They both do taste a little bit more like
if I could get a
the-
sponsorship from Dr. Pepper Zero, like I would give them my life because
There we go.
I love it.
That's
Love
good.
it. It's so good. But you're a Diet Coke person. I get it. It's
Yeah.
a specific flavor.
It's been a long time. I even had someone the other day. They're like, "You've got to stop drinking Diet Coke."
No, hey,
I'm like, so
dude, I heard that the
I'm-
research about
I'm 32 years in on this.
about aspartame or whatever the thing is in there that they said caused cancer.
World Health Organization.
Yeah. Well, they've
Mhm.
changed their study on it. They're like, listen, you got to drink like 12 cans a day to get cancer from this. Do you
Oh.
drink 12 cans a day?
Well, I think Andy might. Oh dear.
I didn't
12
know
cans
that.
a day. Let me just say this, and we're really, I know that this show is probably getting a little too long, but I do not like to drink water. And
I've heard this.
in this day and time, and I figured out why. And I may have told you this. Have I told you this on the show?
I just know you don't like water.
Kids growing up in the 70s, I'm an
Mhm.
old lady.
Mhm.
We did not drink water at all.
Yeah.
Like that was, and let me tell you when you did drink water. You drank Kool-Aid or
Mhm.
soda.
Or milk.
You drank I don't know. We got into high C,
Mhm.
milk, apple juice,
Mhm.
orange juice. Water was never a thing.
Yeah.
Like that was not something we served. Tea, iced tea,
Yep.
sweet tea.
Yep.
No water was
Yep.
part of this except for one thing. Would you like to guess when you had to drink water?
From the water hose outside.
No, it was when you were taking medicine at night.
Oh.
And your parents would come in with lukewarm water from the sink,
Okay.
not
Yeah.
even the kitchen sink, the bathroom sink. And you would have to like chug down
Yeah.
enough water to scrape down any pill you were taking.
Yeah.
Or any medicine or any terrible taste. All you had was water.
Yeah.
So for me, lukewarm water, when I first drink it, it's hard for me to even. So
fair.
people are always like, how do you not like to drink water? And I go, I think because for the first 10 years of my life,
It was only for medicine.
it was only for medicine.
That's fair.
So I think I have these.
Well, I don't drink lukewarm water. I don't drink it from the tap. Like we've got a filtered, water situation going to the fridge.
We have all these
So-
sweet medicine. We have all these sweet medical students that come to our house and they're all like, "Oh, I'll have a water. I'll have a water." And every now and then and we feed them water and it's lukewarm water and they're totally fine with it.
Yeah.
But every now and then I'm like, "Hey, we've got some extra soda. Does anybody want a soda?" Every hand.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes. I would like some soda. It's like a
Yeah.
special treat.
Would you, okay, I got a question about water.
I do like colder water better.
Yeah, colder water is better. What about at a restaurant growing up? Did you get water or was your family springing for like soda for everybody?
Soda.
That's shocking. My family
Andy
did
is like,
not
"Can
pay
you
for soda."
please stop ordering Diet Coke?
Oh,
You
yeah,
would
it's
save
like
us
$3.
insane
Yeah,
amounts of
it's
money."
ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
But this is so, we've got to cut all of this out of the podcast because I cannot have these conversations everywhere I go about not liking water. I don't like water with food.
yeah,
I don't like to drink
it doesn't
water
enhance
with
the
food.
flavor of the food.
I do like to drink water like after a run,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit, a
Yeah.
cold, like
Yeah.
I have to actually need it for life.
Yeah, I feel you.
This is the most unhealthy.
And you don't like
podcast.
sparkling water.
Yeah, I've gotten to where I kind of like sparkling
Yeah,
water.
I
a little
mean,
bit.
and honestly, that's supposed to kill you as well. So like, it's not
Sure.
any better for them.
It's
It's
terrible.
bad for you.
So today I wanted to bring one of my favorite new people in my life who I think is a rock star, but an unsung rock star. So today our job is to go from unsung to highly sung or sung out loud, whatever that means.
Great.
So if you will, welcome with me the children's director of CRMC, Traci Edworthy.
Hello. CRMC is CityRise Missouri City. It's,
Yes,
just so
thank you,
know,
Justin.
Our newest campus, which is now it's kind of old, I guess. It's been around for a while. Listen, here's what I love about Traci, and I'm going to brag on her for a second. We had a staff Christmas party, one of the first ones she came to, and we got the same table. It was great. We had a great conversation, and she had so many questions about meaningful ministry to her community. She's like, how do I do this? Like, she was just like hungry for this information so she can better minister.
And you were just trying to
and
get
I
the
was
red
like,
velvet
I am
cake.
I'm trying to down this plate of spaghetti is literally
You're
all
like,
that my
over there eating
selfish
mashed
heart,
potatoes.
all that my selfish heart cared about. But then it was just a breath. I had this woman that was like so excited, so new to ministry, because I don't think you've served as a full-time position before. And it was just nice to have somebody that was like when someone's new in ministry, it encourages and inspires everyone, I think, because you're reminded of what you felt like when you were new and what you felt like when you
Those
were
are
first
the
getting
days.
to know.
Justin.
So I was happy to have that conversation. And I think it revealed a lot about your heart. So I'm excited to talk today about your calling and what you're doing out there, and then also your family. So I'm glad you're here.
Thank you so much.
welcome, Traci. We're so glad to have you. So you are the first official children's director at CityRise Missouri City. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
What has it been like being in a church start? How long have you guys been in action? It's been 2 years now.
2 years in January.
Okay.
It's been good. It's been challenging because I've never done full-time ministry before. I went to school to elementary education. And so I know how to lesson plan, and I love lesson planning and setting up a classroom and having a classroom, but I've never been over a whole ministry. And so that has been good and challenging. And I have a lot to learn, which is why I asked you all of those questions and still have so much more, but it's good. With the church start, we are of course a lot smaller, but that's good because it gives you more room to grow. You don't have to drown completely on the first day, but we're growing, which is also fun. It's cool. When we first started attending, obviously we were just attending, and seeing how far we've grown and the classes we've been able to add and break into, that's exciting. And so it's different because like a church start, we came from a very established church in Kingwood, and established churches, they have a lot of programs, a lot of resources, a lot of people. And when you start in a church plant, there's just little. And so you work with that, but then there's beauty in that little. You pull from a lot of different people, and it's almost like a beautiful collage of just different stories and different ideas and beginnings. And so it's exciting. It's exhausting, but it's exciting.
Yeah.
I like that. Exhausting and exciting. And you guys just wrapped up VBS. And you guys generally go the week after we go for VBS. How was VBS this year?
VBS was good. So right now our campus is under construction. Like CP, we are not able to get into our church building. And when we first started planning VBS, we didn't know that was going to be the case. We thought we would be a little more spread out. But as it got closer, we realized we were not able to get in that building, and we'd all have to be in the gym. And that had some challenges, especially with like our worship rallies, because being in the gym, there's different sound, AV stuff, which you learn on the spot because there are things blasting that you don't know why it's making this terrible sound. And so there were some challenging parts of that, but I actually liked that we were all closer. It was easier to check on everybody, see the rotations, see the kids. And I, of course, wish we would have had more kids. We wanted to double, but we had about the same as we did last year. New kids, which I love having new kids. But I think it was God's grace. I had to finally get to the point of realizing that we probably weren't ready to double because we couldn't expand into the other building. We had to be in that one space. And if we had doubled, it would have just been chaos. And so it was good. Probably my best part was our family night on Thursday night. The families come back and we have a little program where the kids sing songs and Pastor Mark gives a speech and stuff. And then gives them bounce houses and the parents can see all this stuff. And it was just a really great time to talk to the families and hear the kids and how much they're enjoying VBS and they're singing all the songs and they can't wait to come back. And so that was probably my best, is parents coming up and being like, my kids love it so much. The first day they were so nervous when we asked them, do you want to go back? They were like, of course. And they're so excited. And to me, that's like all of the hours of preparation and work, they're worth it for that. And so we actually, this Saturday, we're going to have kind of like a reunion event where we're inviting the families to come back for board games and movie and lunch and stuff like that. So
That's
hopefully it'll
great.
be good.
I love that.
Yeah, that numbers thing is so hard. And to hear you have just this mature mindset of like seeing the bigger picture of what God was doing. And because when I was in student ministry, like literally my self-esteem was based on who showed up and how many people were there. And it was such a hard thing to separate yourself and say, God is working in this. It is not on me whether there's 2 people here or 200 people here. Like it is about what God is doing. And if God wanted just these 3 kids to be here on a Wednesday night or whatever it may be, like this is what he wanted. And so in your head, you can say that, but in your heart, you still feel like you're a loser. And so to have that mindset that you shared of like understanding God's bigger picture and seeing the wisdom of like, oh, if we had had more people and our church, had been under construction, we would have been in literal trouble. Like we could not have done this. And so I love that mindset. How do you handle number? Are you good with like attendance numbers, or are you like really?
Well, I get a little obsessive about it to the point where Rogers had to talk to me. And so he's like, hey kid, we're here to be faithful. And I get really into them. And so for me, the pandemic helped me get over that because once that was gone, it took a while to build back. And then everything changed so much. I feel like we're still walking in this new reality of who we are now from that. And I've sort of dropped a lot of expectations and it's been really healthy for me to see more about, like you said, the stories of the people who come rather than these big numbers.
Well, the first 75 episodes of this show, I refused to tell you how many people were listening. I was like,
I do have a problem with numbers.
You don't need to worry about it. I was like, people are listening, and the ones who are listening are the ones who need to listen, and they're enjoying it. So just chill out. But then I finally gave you the login information. I'm sure you check it weekly now. But
pretty much. I will say, we've been off a few weeks. We're finally back to recording. And Andy yesterday was like, are you guys coming back or what's the deal? Like, I thought that was really sweet.
We need a break. Okay?
He's like, okay, it's time for the show to come back.
No, well, and the people who listen, they love it and they connect. And it's not anything about us. It's all about bringing people like Traci who are doing real important work or really cool things in their community or their church. And so listen, when we're talking about numbers, plenty of people are listening to the show, enough to justify us working on it. So what do you think have been some of the things that you've learned in your walk with God, tell us a little bit about how you came to know God, how you came to know Christ.
Okay. So I grew up in a Presbyterian church background. And my parents were pretty regular, especially during the school year. During the summer, they would like to go to the lake and stuff. So it was kind of optional then. But in that environment and in our church, salvation was very much something that could be lost. And I was a very fearful child. I still struggle with fear. And so I remember so many times just saying the prayer, getting my ticket stamped so that if anything happened and I died, I wouldn't go to hell because I was terrified of going to hell. But I didn't have a relationship with God. Like God was a very scary lightning thrower. Like he was just waiting to like squish me. And I was very, very scared of him. And that probably happened until the end of my 9th grade year in high school. At that point, my sister went off to college and we went to a private Christian school. And we had to move campuses and all my friends left to go to public school. And like I battled with my parents, please send me to public school. And my parents, thank the Lord, they did not. Like they stood their ground. It was a war zone in our house. And but because of staying there, I had a Bible teacher that year, and he really opened my eyes to having a relationship with God. And it's more than just like, praying in a certain position in a certain way. It was just talking to God and asking questions. And I have lots of questions, always have. And so like reading the Bible for myself and saying, what does this mean? And why is it written this way? And what does this tell me about who God is? And it started this journey where I believe that's when my walk with Christ started, because it was my parents at this point, they were not going to church. And a couple years before, I've been so excited because then I wasn't forced to go to church, but now I wanted to. And so I would drive myself to church and go with friends and stuff like that. And I believe that's when my relationship started. And even to this day, I'm still learning about who God is and learning to trust him and learning what that means and what that looks like. And even recently, a couple years ago, we had a friend whose husband unexpectedly died. He had 2 small kids and he just died. And I remember being like so upset and so with God of just being like, why did this happen? Like this friend, when her husband would travel for work, like she was a mess. Like for a whole week, we checked on her every day. And I looked at her life. I'm like, now she's like, he's on a permanent business trip. Like he's never coming back. And just feeling like, where was the justice and love in that? And for a year, I struggled with that question with God and just wrestled with him. But I think that was his grace of me wrestling with it then, because then a couple years later, my sister's husband died from COVID. And thankfully, already having walked that journey, not that I have all the answers, but I was able to stand better beside her and not be a wreck myself of like, where's the justice? Because she's asking those questions and the pain that she's in. And already having walked that, I had a little bit of like, just a little bit clearer vision. And so, like I said, each day he's still teaching me a lot and molding and growing me a lot. But even like that friend who lost her husband and where she is now, and even what she can say, even the songs that they played at their funeral, you know, when the kids are crying for their dad and playing songs about the goodness of God, like for me, that was like, that's some next level. Like, I don't think I could have done that. But, and even hearing my sister to this day of like, she misses her husband a lot, but she's still even able to see God's hand in that. And, so for me, he's taught me a lot. He's taught me a lot about trusting him and how it may not look the way that I think it should look, but he has a plan within that. And there's still justice and truth and love and grace. And so it's been a journey. But
wow. Like the early part of your story, you're saying you're Presbyterian. That was very similar in the Baptist church for me too. So not you could lose your salvation. We're Baptists are very much once saved, always saved. But there was a question of, what if I did it wrong?
Yes.
What if I didn't mean it? What if I wasn't sincere?
Yes.
And I think both
what
of
if
us
it wasn't real?
Growing up in the Baptist church have the same story of praying this prayer over and over as a child.
1,000 times.
And it's just interesting to me that it wasn't specific. I thought it was a Baptist thing, but to hear someone say, well, in the Presbyterian church, they believe you can lose it. So that was, I was like, wow, so all these children of our generation growing up being concerned about whether they're actually going to heaven. I have that same kind of story of like, then I got to high school and it's about relationship and I get whatever. And it's great. But like, it makes me think like, as children's directors, like as people shaping this faith, how do y'all manage that? The importance of choosing to follow Jesus without turning it into a fear-based decision. Like, what do you know, especially from your experience, having done it growing up, like, how do you manage that?
I don't know. Looking back, I don't know if that was part of our faith, because, you know, Paul says he works out his faith with fear and trembling. I don't know if that was an outcome of a church environment that was unhealthy, or if, because I've seen so many people go through this, if that's a natural progression of your faith, to solidify it, to own it, to make it your own, to have that fear of not being connected to God. Or I wonder if, I don't know. I would like more studies or more reading to feed into that. But for children, you know, our heart is to always let them know that God loves you. I feel like when I was growing up, it was about a really irritated God, a God who was disappointed, frustrated, disconnected. And you felt like I remember, this is going to be such a weird thing to say on a podcast. I was so afraid of going to hell as a child that I would figure out ways to get along with the enemy if I had to do that. Like I had to figure out ways if I could be funny or kind of clever, easy to get along with. And the fear was so real to me that I would figure out ways to survive it. Yeah. And so so for children now, it's very much, I don't know if we were in a phase in life of that's where you were in your faith, but now it's a lot more. God loves you. God will always love you. He will forgive you for every sin you've ever.
Yeah.
I think I was so late in life before I realized that the cross had covered all my sins, all the sins I would ever commit. It never occurred to me that those have been taken care of. I was always in the mindset that we have to earn this.
Yeah.
We got to figure this out.
Well, even with my children, we don't really talk about hell. Like, and I don't know when it's appropriate to bring it up, but I'm not like, when we're talking about being a Christian, it's about being with God. It's about, you get to be with God forever.
Yes.
Like that's the heart of it. It's not the fear of being, and I'm sure there's a pendulum, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure you can go too far and never talk about the real consequences of not following, and never having hard conversations about family members that don't follow Jesus and what happens after they die. Like, but I'm feeling as children, we could put that off a little. You know what I'm saying? Like, whereas when we were kids, they almost started with it.
We don't even use the phrase Satan anymore, or demons. Like, we just use, enemy. Now we use the enemy.
Yeah.
Like, all of us use the phrase the enemy. And it's very...
it's just so tricky to
generic.
me, like sitting between two children's directors. And my mom's a children's director now. She's come on her church as a staff member.
Well, that's wonderful, Justin.
Yeah, she came to VBS and stole a lot of your ideas before y'all. Like, she was here this weekend, the weekend before. She's like taking pictures of all your decorations. She's like, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. So anyway, so it's just, to me, it's shaping children's faith is such a delicate thing, because I was in student ministry, and so I would get them after they'd gone through your children's programs. And here it was obviously great. And honestly, anywhere it's been great. But I had so many conversations where, I thought I did this as a child, and now I'm actually doing it as a teenager. And I think it's, you don't want to be guilty of what the culture says we're doing, which is brainwashing, which we're not. You know what I'm saying? But like,
sure, of course,
you can be guilty of that if you go down the wrong path with kids. And so I say that to say I admire you ladies who take this on, because where some parents think it's just nursery work and babysitting and childcare on a Sunday morning, I know and I have seen that you are taking seriously this charge to teach children about Jesus and to eventually help them make that choice to follow Christ. So I just want to take a moment to say you're awesome, and I can't do that, and I never want to do it.
Justin, that's so nice. So Traci, being on this new campus, like, what do you feel like the vibe is at CRMC? How is it? I mean, what's the unique sort of footprint of CRMC? What's it like being there?
Well, the people, we have a lot of diversity, which is so great. When we came from Kingwood, where we lived, there just wasn't a lot of diversity. There was a lot of like upper class white kind of everywhere. And which is also not bad. But here it's so great. It's so great to see so much uniqueness and color. And there's just so many different things to learn from so many different backgrounds. It's very humbling because we have a lot of diversity also in socioeconomic standing. And so that's also, that's humbling, and it's unique. It definitely gives a little, like, for example, what works at your campus, it may not work at our campus because of the different backgrounds, of kids that come into our campuses. And so it's been a journey to learn what will connect best with those families and those kids. But when you told me these questions, I was thinking about that. And there's this one story. So on Thursday nights, we offer open gym for basketball. And when we first started, there was a boy that came, and he was all dressed in black and very I would look at him and I would just feel like there was darkness just kind of over him, heaviness. And it just laid on my heart to see him. But he would come, and he would just watch basketball, and then he would slowly start to play. But he would say, I'm never coming to church. That's not my thing. I'm not interested. It's not going to happen. But he kept coming. He kept coming to basketball, and now never dresses in black anymore. Like, there's just this like lightness to him. He's in youth group every Sunday, and I don't think he's come to service yet. I don't usually get to go to the service a lot, but he's there in youth group. And one time, even passing through, I heard someone ask if he would pray. And to me, that's just like, those are the kind of stories that are just like, man, that's a God thing, right? Like, he kept coming to basketball, and now he's coming to youth group, and he's participating. He's not just sitting there like still angry, and he's participating and making friends and connections. And, when we first started, we would go door to door a lot, tell people in the community about our church and what they offer. And one of the first times we did that, we met a family, and they would start walking over on Sundays. And now they're there every Sunday, and they're serving, and they're diligent. To me, that is so cool. Like when we started this church, like we didn't know if anyone was going to show up, right? Like we didn't really have anything that we were going off of, but to see that fruit of like, I don't know if you guys have ever gone door to door. It's a little overwhelming and scary, and
it's been a while
knocking on those doors, wondering if people
is.
are going to like just not even come or shut the door. It really helps if you take kids. So I have a lot of them. So when we go, everyone wants to see a cute kid. And so usually we have a little bit easier time with that. But to see the fruit of those hours in the sun, it's really cool. It's really cool to see, like, we talked about numbers a lot, and, we may not have the masses yet, but for that one family or for that one boy or for this one person, like, that's really cool. And it's also been hard because, we've had some people come with maybe not the right mindset. Maybe they just want this free or that free. And you can sometimes get burned by that. But then you have these other stories that like, okay, there's still people that like, it's not just about what we can give them, but about what they're receiving from God, which is pretty cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
That's great. That's wonderful, Traci. So thank you so much. Let me look at Justin at this point.
That was a great conversation. I'm so glad we brought Traci.
I am so glad we brought Traci.
It's so funny. Before you talk about fear a little bit and not throwing to the bus, but Traci was a little nervous before you came in. And she was asking questions, and I was trying to assure her, like, hey, it's really casual. I was like, the only thing you can do wrong is just not talk. Like, that's the only way you can mess this up. And I'm just so thankful that you stepped out in faith to be confident and share, because everything you said was so meaningful and like really encouraging. And I think just shed some light on what it is to minister to children, what it is to work at a church that's new and getting into a community for the first time. So I'm just so glad you're here. And your mic is too far up.
What I was going to say is I feel the same way. Thank you so much for being with us today. Ma'am, we have one last question that we like to end the show with.
And we all answer it, and we answer it before you do.
We all answer it. So here's my question, Traci. If you had to eat the same thing for a snack for a year, what would it be?
Oh, snack specific, not a meal. We still have regular meals, but
Sure.
in between meals, if you were hungry,
If you're going to have a snack, there's only one snack you can have for a year.
Only thing you can eat. Oh my god!
As your snack, what is it?
Do you have an answer immediately?
Well, I'm thinking about something other than watermelon.
Well, sorry, think about it. So my brain first goes to like, oh, carrots and hummus is a great snack, but I'm like, could I do that every day for a year?
I can't believe you could do that 3 days of the week.
What? You want carrots and
hummus?
hummus? Oh, it's delicious. Oh, geez.
I will say that most of my snacks, day 3,
Okay.
they're off.
Okay.
I'm out.
I will never, and I mean, and this is not a healthy choice, I will never get tired of a potato chip. Like,
Right.
or a Pringle, or it could be any flavor of chip except for Fritos. Like, I could eat that. I love
I don't
chips.
think I could get tired of Doritos and a Snickers together, but I feel like that's a pretty big snack.
We didn't say healthy snack. We didn't say that you'd lose weight in that year.
I don't feel like it's a really respectable snack.
But I cannot.
That's more like your high school lunch.
Like some people would say popcorn. Like, oh, I love popcorn. I don't like popcorn.
Oh, I do like some popcorn.
If I had one snack every day that I had to eat, and it was
hummus and carrots.
And well, it depends if I'm trying to be healthy or if I don't care about health. Like, it depends on what I'm thinking that year. If it was healthy, I'd say hummus and carrots. If it was not healthy, I'd say potato chips.
Potato chips.
Yeah.
All right. For me, if I'm going to have it every day, I'm probably going to want like a little bit of a variety.
Okay. Like a trail mix?
Yes.
Really?
Something like a salty nut,
Okay.
a tasty cheese,
Okay.
and maybe a small flavorful grape.
Okay. It feels like that's cheating. It feels like you're just choosing 3 different things.
It feels like you just said 8 things.
Yeah. So you want a charcuterie board.
I think like
One charcuterie board a day.
Okay, so one snack every day. You know what I really like? They're
What?
these bold nuts. They're called bold and delicious nut. They're almonds.
Okay.
And there's this one flavor, and it's habanero barbecue, I think is the name of
Oh,
it.
geez.
Whew.
I bet your
They're
breath smells so good after that.
My teeth are like orange, but it's like a sweet, it's savory, it's crunchy, it's a nut.
Yeah.
I think I could probably
That's
do
fair.
that.
That's fair. I love that.
I think mine would probably be cereal.
Great choice.
I have
Dry
that
or wet?
wet with milk.
Okay.
Usually every night
Oh.
for like my dessert, I have cereal. So I could probably say I've already done that for a
Yeah.
year.
yeah.
So
What is
you're
your
a night
go-to?
cereal person.
What's your
Night
go-to cereal
cereal
flavor?
Well, right, it's changed.
Okay.
Right now, it's a combination of like honey bunches of oats,
Okay.
with some extra granola because they never put enough granola.
Yeah,
pieces
yeah.
in it. And then a little bit of extra frosted flakes because they also never put enough of the sweet frosted.
You really have
That
like
is.
a
I
tuned
do,
out
and I kind of
mixture.
like mix it up and then milk. It's very good.
That's perfect. I love that.
That is perfect. I love that. Man, Tracy, this has been so good visiting with you. Thank you for coming to be with us today.
Yeah.
Justin, tell us.
Yeah, if you enjoyed the show, we'd love for you to share it with somebody who you think would be encouraged by Tracy's story or about children's ministry or wants to learn more about the ministry out in Missouri City. If you live in Stafford or Missouri City, it's a great location for you to gather. You can learn more by visiting cityrise.org/CRMC or just go to cityrise.org, and on the first page, there's a locations button, and you can find the location that works for you if you're in that area of Southwest Houston. We'd love for you to rate, review, subscribe if you listen to this podcast. If you didn't listen, but you want to watch it, you can find the link to the YouTube playlist in the description of this podcast. YouTube likes are free. We'd love for you to like it. Sharing is free. I'd love for you to send a link to somebody and let them know what's going on in Life of Our Church, because we love talking to people who love Jesus, and we think every single week we are encouraged and inspired by the stories we hear. And we think other people will be encouraged and inspired, but you've got to share it and let people know about it.
That sounds great. That sounds great. Thank you, guys. We hope you guys have had an almost amazing time on the Almost Amazing podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Almost Amazing podcast from the CityRise Network, based in Houston, Texas. CityRise is a partnership of church campuses, nonprofits, and missionaries devoted to lifting our city and the world by generously giving the gospel of Jesus Christ. For more information or to find a church campus close to you in the Houston area, visit cityrise.org.